Well, good morning to you. I've come to Mae Wang. I'm on my way out to Mae Win. I'm going to go up to the waterfall today, so please come with me. I've come along the road, the 1313, which is really nicely developed now. They've put a barrier all the way up from down way past the petrol pump up to this junction here, and it's improved the crossing, the U-turns and that sort of thing. The people causing for there be, bad driving. So they're just flowing. It's flowing nicer, but they're now replacing the posts, the poles that hold the wires, and obviously the knitting is, as we know it in Thailand, is always something they've got to overcome. And this guy over here, he's knocking it with a hammer. He's knocking this pin with a hammer, trying to get it out. It's releasing all the wires that have been on that pillar on that post for so long. Well, I think you can agree that there'll probably be a power cut or two around here today. The PEA, the Provincial Electricity Authority, I think that's what it's called, are putting up new posts, these concrete pillars, the posts that carry all the cables. And coming up here through Mae Wang, it's a bit of congestion here because the rubberneckers, people looking, but it's also a little bit of a pinch point. This is a busy road. This is the 1313, and from Mae Wang this goes out to Mae Win, and beyond Mae Win is wilderness, but it's it's where people live. Many villages are out there, and they need to come somewhere like this to get their supplies or bring their goods. They trade in Chiang Mai, and this is one of the routes they use to get there. So it's a pretty busy place, and the road's just a little bit of a pinch point here. But the road, the development over there of the new pillars is not helping today. This road is really fantastic. It's come off the Canal Road that is way down there in the distance, and therefore it's a real thoroughfare when the tourists are around, because you've got minivans up and down because of the rafting, because of the elephants, the trekking, all that sort of thing that goes on down the way there in Mae Wang and Mae Win. And you've got the sort of lorries that are coming through here, the size of this one here. Well, whenever I'm out on the Mae Wang Road, you always come along this part here where the rafting is, and at the top of the hill you see elephant friends, and the elephants on the left hand side. It's always nice to see the elephants. I personally feel a bit sad because of the chains and the restriction they are under in their pen. They can't move very far because the chains around their ankles, but yeah, they don't get ridden, and that's the nice thing. And there you see they're thrashing the sugarcane leaves or the grasses against their legs and and then they're eating them. The baby getting a nice shower. Nam Tok Mae Sapok. It's out in Mae Win, and I really encourage people to come out here. Funnily enough, I saw on Facebook today the government, or the TAT, the Thai Tourism Authority, are actually trying to open up Mae Win to tourists 1st of October. Well, I can tell you, it's well ready. It's a very nice place to come to any time of year. Don't just wait till the 1st of October. You can see by the overgrown pathway here and the debris of the leaves and forest litter that it's not been visited. Oh, hang on a minute. There's a mask there. Looks quite fresh. Well, like many in the world, I have now become fully vaccinated. But I guess it depends upon your point of view as to, let's dip under this one, as to how well vaccinated, or whether you even needed the vaccination in the first place. Well, I've had my second shot and I've got a rather stiff arm now. Here in Thailand, after all the shenanigans and concerns early up, the Thai government have been given vaccines to everybody for free, and they started at the elderly and working down, and of course coming up people can volunteer to have vaccines anyway, but the elderly are being encouraged to get it. And here in Thailand, because we're so close to China, the Sinovac jab was the one that was first available, and the government decided that they would do something rather different to many countries, and that is mix the jabs, mix the suppliers. So I've had my first jab, Sinovac, and 3 weeks later I've had another needle in my arm, AstraZeneca. So I guess I'm good to go for maybe a couple of months. At the moment, funnily enough, today I'm hearing that the Astra and Pfizer and others are now dropping their efficacy after 6 months to around about 50%. So goodness knows what my Sino and also Astra will be after 6 months. Oh, there's a lovely view. I've got to show you this. All the way along here, while I've been talking to you, there have been little lizards running. If I tried to show you them, I couldn't because they're so fast. Little lizards running across the forest path here. Well, it was really quite refreshing to splash some water, some fresh water on my hands and face from this lovely waterfall here. I'm going to try and get up to the back and see how that looks today. The going's not too bad. Oh yeah, look at this. Now you can see a shot across the entire face of this cascade. Well, this fencing has been added recently, bringing a little bit of beautification and definition to the pathway going up into the cave behind the waterfall. How lovely. They've had a ceremony of some sort, I'd suggest. All these sticks, all these support sticks, the ones that have got the Y ends, the supporting branches at the ends, they've all been placed against the wall. Isn't that lovely? I mean, there's no intention of growing them, it's just bringing the item here. Let's put that one back up. There we go. Oh, that's lovely, isn't it? And there's more through here. Well, I'm behind the waterfall now. It's not the first time I've been here with you, so maybe you've seen this before. But this view from the back of the waterfall is quite intriguing because it's got these long roots coming down of which the waterfall follows. It's like a drain pipe overflowing. And there below you've got the pool that the water flows into. I came up here and had a cup of coffee one time. Very nice. This is lovely. I feel a bit of emotion here about the fact that these sticks have been placed here like this. There's obviously been a ceremony here, and it's had a meaning. As you will know from understanding a little bit of Thailand, and maybe listening to some of my ramblings, Thai people are very superstitious, and you know, there is a lot of belief in animism, which is that everything has life, and you can't help but think that there is something about this ceremony here that's gone on that's been bringing some support, some life to this area for the spirits of this area in this cave. Wow, this is lovely. There's a lovely little platform been built here, and up there is a Saturday Buddha statue with the little drip pots capturing the drips from up above. These lovely little flowers along the side of the path here. They've all got this same design, this up here, like waiting to pounce on the bees that come along below. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? There's another one there, look. Well, a couple of people have contacted me very kindly, thank you very much, and asked me, why am I not making videos? Well, I've been a bit busy. I've actually got worms. Yeah, well, it's a long story. Let me explain that. To be quite honest, it's all a load of bullshit. Well, that's exactly it. I found a place in Thailand and, you know, on Facebook, and contacted them and said, I need some worms. They sent me a pack, 450 baht, I think, and there was a lovely little booklet in it, and it was talking all about bullshit. Now, this is kihua, and this is cow shit. Well, until recently, I'd never heard of worm farming, and somebody a few years ago mentioned vermiculture, but I thought, what the hell's that? And just went over my head, didn't look into it. But when you think about the prospect of having a hobby that is so cheap, so much fun really when you see the product, and easy to actually do on a day-to-day basis. Why wouldn't you want to do it if you're interested in stuff in the garden, you know? I bought these particular worms from somebody in Thailand, as I say, via Facebook, and I paid between 400 and 500 baht. I think it was 20-30 baht in postage, and it was about 450 for the worms. A kilo of worms. Now they also send you a little pack of the kihua to get you started, and that's very kind of them. But if I go down to the local farmer down the road and get a bag of kihua, that's going to cost me around about 50 baht, and that'll last me about 6 months. So, it's a very reasonably priced little hobby. I only need to tend to them once a week. I feed them once a week. Make sure that the actual environment they're living in is just like a damp cloth after you've wrung it out. That's what the various YouTubers say, and I could agree with that. That these boxes are happy environments, and they're not trying to escape. They don't want to escape. The bugs that want to get in are the problem. Guys in here have been producing poo. These worms are red wigglers, and they've been in here around about 6 or 7 weeks now. I'll take the top off of this bin, and you'll see the cardboard that I've put in the top to stop the light getting through, and also to soak up some excess moisture that's in there. There's a couple of spiders and a few bugs moving around there. All this stuff on top is really, really lovely and fine, and this is the poo that they've made. And if I dig down underneath that, I can see some. Oh, they've dived out the way there. There's a couple there. They're really very, very small, but they are very productive. Now what I do here is, in order to take out the tailings of the worms, I have these little trays. I scoop some into there. And I sieve. I could get myself an expensive sieve, but I don't know, this costs about 10 baht. And what I'm doing is actually taking from one end of this box and feeding that end all the time, and letting the worms live in the other end. So this end is where I feed. This end is where they live otherwise, and they come in here, feed, do their poo, and they can also be here. So I'm not disturbing this bit up here. I'm just disturbing this bit, this end. But on the floor here is very, very fine worm tailings. So this produces a hell of a lot of worm tailings. That there is what I took away last week. This is just from 7 weeks of produce. This is just 7 weeks of effort by these little wigglers. Amazing. Look at that. And it's called Gardener's Black Gold, if you like. And I've got another tub here. I've got another tub here. And believe it or not, I've got a tub here. I've watched loads of videos about this worming, vermiculture, this worm farming. And I followed a lot of people's advice, and I built myself a little worm farm based upon a beginner worm farm box, and this is an old paint bucket, and in this paint bucket I hoped to collect the tailings. In this worm bucket I put holes in the bottom, And these are a particular diameter hole, and in this worm bucket another diameter hole, and it got all technical and very, very busy and complicated. Well, I put them in here and they escaped. I got them all back in. They were all curled up against the wall, and it was like, well, I've done something wrong here. They don't like my home. And I'd put the wrong content in. I put everything that people in the States or in UK had suggested you put into your box to make these little creatures happy. Well, it was all a load of yeah. I had made a big mistake. I didn't understand how it operated here. I didn't find online any people that had done it in Thailand. There are lots of people who have done it in Thailand, but I hadn't found that. So I was behind, I was behind on the information I should have had. Anyway, these boxes turned out to be a bloody nightmare, and I scrapped those and I went in for these square storage boxes. And it's much simpler. The extraction, as I can show you, is very simple for me. Lots of people go to the extent of having a machine, a roller with gauges of wire and so on, and very, very nicely designed sieves. But for a 10 baht sieve here, I can produce the tailings from the worms and put the worms back into the box, and they're quite happy to carry on eating through that food that I give them. Now, the people in YouTube have previously, that I've found on American and European YouTube channels, saying that you need to give them all of this list of things, and there's lots of links to different vlogs, and there's a science behind it, and you've got to give them this, you've got to give them that. Well, you couldn't have been further from the truth. Yeah, so there was this marvellous little booklet that came through with these worms from a source I found via Facebook, actually. And I think these actually were ordered through Lazada, if I remember rightly. And in here it's talking about how to prepare your home, your hotel, your compost for these worms to live in. And it goes into nice little details. It's all in Thai, but if you use Google Translate, you get a good idea. Now, in preparation, this is a bowl of soaked cow poo, and it's been soaking here for about a week now, and in my usual Blue Peter style, I prepared one for you earlier. So now, after a week, I now take this soaked bullshit cow poo and then strain it, and then take all of that liquid out. If I wanted the liquid, I could keep it, I guess, but I've got stacks of it. I do this once a week, and I then lay it out in the sun. And let that dry out. Get all of the excess liquid out, excess bugs and things. And after it's dried out, it's easier to crumble up like this, because obviously worms have only got small mouths. I just add the cow poo once a week, and that's it. I don't have to add anything extra in. There is no magical extra ingredient or extra care. There is no magical way to look after these things. Just let them get on with it. I hope you enjoyed this little video about my venture into worm farming, and I hope to show you some more in the future. And thanks for joining me today on this little outing up to Mae Win and Mae Sapok Waterfall, and I hope to see you in the next video. So stay well, stay happy, stay safe. Bye bye.